Hey everybody, and welcome back to One Piece 1149. We're here. I'm excited to experience this chapter with everybody today. Let's see what happens. You guys already know, I'm sure. Shout out to Lydia Raven for rejoining.
Another one.
Lydia says Savage Sunday. That's what it is. Tuning into the savagery.
What's up, y'all? You know what time it is. It's about to be that time.
All right. Hit that like button so everybody knows that we're live. It's not about to be that time. It is now officially that time. Speaking of that time. It's about to get spicy. Here. Shout out to Brianna for joining. Shout out to my guy Ty. So just looked at my watch. I got time today. Said, what's up, Savage Crew? All right. So, Carolyn's not going to whisk you away today, Ty. Let's go. Get started.
Together we're stronger. Together we're stronger.
Together. Swaboosh, member for 41 months, said it is definitely that time. What are my expectations for the chapter? Well, we ended with Scopper showing up. I really want some Demonio Floor. You know, I mean, I would really like Robin to, keep showing out. I think we have to free the other guys. But more than anything, I think that Oda's going to show us what's going on with some of the other characters this week. Like we spent all last week, 2 weeks ago, all last chapter with Robin and the crew there pretty much. So we have to see what Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Loki, we need an update on that side of everything. And maybe we'll get some clarification, like how far away Frankie is. We'll see. Shout out to Alejandro Salas, member for 24 months, said, like D-Stream, let's get more people in here. We have tripled the amount of people since we started, so that's good. Shout out to Nighthawk, Podgastic, Blue Blah, the Dr. JR, K Maya for joining. Kaki09, member for 24 months. Welcome to 2 years, Kakia and Alejandro. It's a very, very intriguing chapter this week. Can't wait to see what you think. Okay. Well, I've been making everybody wait, so let's not wait any longer. I'm here on the color spread. There's obviously something very unique about this particular color spread that, you know, needs to be addressed. The fact that there are 2 additional people on it. I'm sure that this has been talked about. You know, we would get excited about this kind of stuff, like that one color spread that had Tama in it, you know, fed some agenda. And I feel like there was another one in recent years that had an additional person that was like feeding some conversation. But here we have Lilith and Bonnie. I don't know. Other than Vivi, I don't think we're going to get any other Straw Hats at this point, but this is fun. It's fun seeing them, you know, interact with the crew. I think it is very interesting, like, say hypothetically Lilith did join, right? Vegapunk had been teased by name all the way as far back as Post Ennie's Lobby. Technically, their science started in Alabasta, though, right, with Lasso. And then Bonnie, although people are talking about this bag, right? It says RIP on it while Bonnie's running away laughing. This is giving Luffy with the death card right now. Hold on. The bag even looks like a tombstone. And of course, her arm is hiding what could be underneath. I like this one. It feels like a classic color spread, so I'm on board with this one. Anyway, that's technically page 1, right? Now that I've looked at that, here. Shout out to Maxo and Dizza in the chat. We're gonna move on to the chapter here. Neon Rogers saying could just be the rip-off restaurant. Yeah, but if someone dies, you know, community's gonna be like 1149 color spread. Yeah. All right. Let's get into the actual chapter here. Oh, what? Chapter 1149. 1 second. Who is that? We got that axe leaking. The axe is dripping that Conqueror's hockey. Yeah. All right. It worked on him? How? What did he do? I'm rusty. That's given The Dark Knight Returns. Old man Batman running around commenting on how slow he is now every time he's fighting. I appreciate that. Alright, he's spinning that thing. Thorn Solation. Okay. Alright, so it looks like Summers is putting some hockey on the Thorns. And Scopper is not getting through. Mountain Eater. What are you doing in Elbaf? I forgot to say that I was on the next page. But I'm also on the next page. Let's not get bogged down with boring questions. What? Met him at the castle. Yeah, he was totally pushing Luffy and Zoro around. He's the father of a boy at the school named Cologne. That old man is? If I didn't mishear, he might be Scopper Gaban. Okay. See, now this is a Robin thing that Oda hasn't been doing for a very long time, because Law has been with us and has been like taking this dialogue. But Robin was always the character years ago that was like, oh, I just heard an epithet? Cool, that's who this is. Or, I think I know who that person is. Oh, I think I know what this means. That's supposed to be her job. So she's doing her job right now. He's the left arm of the King of the Pirates, the counterpart to Rayleigh. What's he doing in the land of giants? Brooke's still mummified. His attacks are doing damage, but how? Can't move, but I can still help from a distance. Don't do it, Robin. He uses thorns of iron. Your hand-to-hand blows aren't suited for fighting him. Page. This chapter is moving quick because it's a fight chapter. Vasil Vladimirovich supered and said, no, but seriously, do imagine Batman in the One Piece universe. His hockey would be absolute. You know this. Because it would be his only power, right? If you consider, like, if you would say, like, Superman is a devil fruit, you know, like Aquaman's a devil fruit, and stuff like that, right? Like Batman would be the Shanks, essentially, just relying on hockey. That's why he would be an emperor. Okay, so we got this double page spread here, which on Manga Plus is splitting it up for me. So I'm gonna open up Viz so I can see the whole thing. Alright. Thorn Hunt. Crimson Lotus Hell. Watch your step, there's no safe passage. Listen, I'm in a hurry. Scopper's doing a bunch of attacks, chopping off the thorns. Axing. This actually is a fitting matchup. Come on then. Axe Symphony, this man split him. That's great. I love that. I know this is One Piece and it doesn't matter. This is just Vivi cutting Crocodile's head off, Doflamingo's head getting cut off, etc. But it would be nice if this was it. Because then I would feel like, okay, wow, like Scopper. We're doing it. Whoa, look out. Okay. So, moving on to page 8. I'm coming, Kalon. This man's got to save his son. I respect that. What? Beat him. Chopper transforms. Where are you going, Chopper? Ow, ouch, ouch. Chopper was able to get out, I guess, by transforming? How was he able to slice up a guy who's immortal? That's gotta be a crucial secret. Okay, so Chopper wants to learn something. I like this Chopper. Volkazard said, finally, full deer form again. Been so long. Technically, I mean, we did see it this arc, because Nami was riding Deer Chopper on the bridge at the beginning of the arc. Okay, so we've got some sleeping kids here. Good. Well done. So the we had people in the chat saying last week that the library would not catch flame. But I was standing on the side of, you don't go through this trouble unless you are going to do it, which is a pain in the ass, because, like, now... Oh boy, we gotta find the information elsewhere, right? You have proven yourself obedient. Wait, is that... Talking to Ange? Is that proof she's a traitor, or just talking about her just lighting it on fire regardless? That's all we needed to see. I'll take care of the other building. No! Wahaha, look at it burn. The library. Okay. Robin's going through it. Saul is grabbing an inner reserve of strength here. Oh, no, wait. No, he's not. He's out. No, it's not your fault, Chief Ja Rule. No, it is. It is your fault. The words of our forefathers. All of our history. Yeah. That's on you. You lived 400 years to watch it all burn. This is your legacy. How you screwed up. Next page. Alright, so we've still got the girl on the arrow. To be perfectly honest, I forgot about her. Even though the entire chapter last week was named after her, and she had like a whole speech, I forgot about her. But we're back. We're here. This is Killingham. The fire is burning. Come back, child. Why aren't you happy? I'm sorry that I'm still alive. I'm sorry that everything's burning. No, Rania, because of me. It's not your fault, Rania. Culture, history, children, troops. You don't have any right to take any of these things away. A crewmate of the King of the Pirates, you realize that resistance means the death of these hostages. Oh, it's Mr. Ya. Cologne, Mr. Ya is here. He came to save us. Don't speak up, Cologne. Don't do it. Daddy, oh, he just... It's Robin's flashback all over again. That's my daddy, everybody. Guess what? He's stronger than anyone. He's gonna save us all. Okay, so Gunkko has clocked that. Glance. Is he throwing conquerors out? Or is he launching his I can't tell yet what's happening in the bottom panel with this spinning thing. Is he like spinning his axe around? Is he throwing his axe? He's swinging and missing. Okay. Oh, she zooms over to him. I see. Okay. So now we're... So you don't mind if I kill him? That's what I take from your response. Okay, so she's got this sword to his throat. This is my final chance. There's still time to put out the fire in the library. I can save the children and Elbaf in the process. As long as it's instant. Hang in there, clone. Give me 1 second. You're a big, strong boy now. What are we doing? He attacked, she dodged. Yeah, I got that from the next page. That she, like, rode her arrow towards Cologne. Okay, Daddy. I'm a warrior, so beat this creep. Be strong. If you get hurt, I'll make sure you survive. A life once lost will never return. Look out, Cologne. Are we getting a little mini Scopper flashback? Okay. This is our son, Mr. Ya. His girl calls him Mr. Ya. Alright. He's so adorable and huge. What a gift you've given me, Ripley, my lifelong treasure. Yeah, you would have to think that since Cologne was, he's 20 now. That's crazy. He's actually older than Luffy by like 1 year. So, Scopper had to be like 50 here or something. Okay, be safe, please, Cologne. Ooh. She's drawing blood. I have to put a stop to this. He's hockeyed up before things spiral out of control. Next page. Future sight. The sword goes through the kid. That is a sight to behold. Be strong. Oh no. Don't do it. I yield. Oh, man. I'm sorry, Elbaf. Feeble, frail thing. Ooh. Sorry, Cologne. Must have hurt. I'm sorry. Eddie. This man fell off the cliff, too? Yikes. Page. Daddy, Mr. Ya. Father. What is this memory? Yo ho ho! What are we doing here? Well, it's my dream to be a pirate, you see. What are we doing? Let's see what's on this next page. Oh, pardon me, Brooke. You Brooke? Great Emu. At this moment, the Holy Land is a sea of fire. What happened to her? She looks so scary now. We need greater numbers. The dominance of God. Resemblance is uncanny. Allow Mu to show you the diamonds. So is there some sort of telepathic connection going to the Holy Knights and letting us know that something is simultaneously happening at the Holy Land right now? Like, is Blackbeard there? You know, I'm just throwing something out. It's like the Holy Land is getting destroyed. Because remember, they called back Shamrock, right? They said Shamrock had to leave. He had to get back as soon as possible. So that means, like, something crazy is happening at the Holy Land right now. Holy Land is a sea of fire. That's crazy. We need greater numbers. So they're calling them all back, but she's getting a vision. So there's something here where, like, her memories have been blocked of her past. But something here triggered a break in her that is showing her clearly Brooke. She's also saying, "Are you Brooke?" She's obsessed with the Soul King's music. Now, this could be a misdirect, and it's not Brooke's kid, but it's Calico Yorkie's. We don't know. Still feel like we're not done with the Yorkie story. We were just talking, I feel like we were talking about this maybe last week or the week before, or sometime in like the definitely in the past like 3 streams. We were talking about how we really need like an additional Brooke flashback, right? Because we didn't see anything before Yorkie. I would personally like if this doesn't necessarily tie into Yorkie completely, but we'll see. But man, that makes Brooke, that puts him towards the top of the deadbeat list. This man is not taught. If Gunkko's his daughter, this man has never once talked about her in nearly 2 decades of publication, as far as like what he's been in the story for. Brooks here saying the resemblance is uncanny. Granted, she wouldn't remember Brooke because he's a skeleton, right? The only way to tell is the afro. I love how, like, I'm not even looking at chat. I'm just processing this, and I'm just thinking about things because it's just like this man, Brooke, so worried about, I gotta see this whale again. Bro, you got a daughter? What about her? You don't want to see her again? Like, we gotta call out the, we gotta call it out. We gotta call it out. I'm sorry. And that's why it's like, you know what, maybe this needs to be Yorkie's kid, so that we can just abide this, so that we can understand this. Or screaming father is a misdirect, right? We know. Let's take into consideration what we know about Brooke, and I know there's a bunch of super chats coming in. I just want to get out my thoughts first, and I appreciate everybody. But we know Brooke was like a vizier for a kingdom or a country, Like, he was basically like a Chaka, a Pell to you know, some sort of king, you know, a Cobra-like figure. And then leaves to become a pirate. And we're seeing that, we're probably seeing that moment right here. Well, it's my dream to be a pirate, you see. What if this isn't Brooke's daughter at all? Because if I think Oda wants us to think that this is Brooke's daughter. But there's probably some other figure in Brooke's past, and she's the daughter of that person. Maybe the king of the country that Brooke actually used to work for, essentially. So it's like, what we're seeing is that these two scenes are not connected. This page of her yelling father and this page of Brooke saying, well, it's my dream to be a pirate, you see, right? So Brooke, I think we're seeing things out of order. I think Brooke left first. This is my theory right now. Brooke left first, and then the world government comes and takes over the kingdom, probably kills her dad, and that's her screaming father, right? And then now she has been mind controlled to work for the world government. And she's starting to get these memories that were blocked. And she is calling forth the dominance of God because Brooke was probably the strongest person in the kingdom. And when he left, that's when they got attacked. And she blames Brooke. That's what I want to see. I don't want this to be Brooke's daughter. I want her to be mad that Brooke left her and her dad defenseless, and now she's a slave to the world government. That's what I want. So, because otherwise, it's too big of a plot hole if it's Brooke's daughter. I had to run everything through. I'm just like, there's no way. There's no way that Brooke would not want to see his daughter again. Oda wants everybody to get lost in the sauce that Brooke's a deadbeat dad. He's got a daughter out there. No. If it is, it's a retcon, in my opinion. I don't think it's something that Oda had planned the entire time. If it is Brooke's daughter, right? And it is an interesting way to get into the story. But before I read what everybody else has to say, that is my thinking right now. These are out of order, and I want her to blame Brooke. So that him leaving to become a pirate had consequences. All right, I'm looking at chat now. Gunkko is 60 years old, Shin said. I mean, that probably times out. AD Wolf, appreciate the super, said, looks like she's Yorkie's daughter. And wild guess from me, he was a vice captain of the Rocks Pirates. The math adds up. Or Brooke Newsenbeck, maybe. Okay. So now, keep in mind that the Rocks Pirates were after the Rumbar Pirates. Okay, now I do have a theory that Yorkie was a part of Rocks, because I think Yorkie has a connection to Gloriosa. It's a stretch, but I'm able to tie things to it. It's part of the Luffy lineage theory. I do think that Yorkie survived because he sailed into the Calm Belt, and I think he landed at Amazon Lily and he's not dead, and might even be the man marked by flames. But I do not know if Yorkie plays a role in whatever flashback this is, except to coax Brooke into becoming a pirate. She could be Yorkie's daughter, but I'm leaning more towards this, like, the clue that we know about Brooke was that he worked for a kingdom. So if we're going to get that flashback, we need a central figure of, and Oda always has, you know, princesses, princes, like he's very obsessed with like making the main characters of whatever thing, like they have to be tied to the kingdom most of the time. So, and since she's also a holy knight, right, she has to be tied to some sort of like family. Because I don't think they just ask anybody. Like, them asking Loki is because he is royalty. They're not just, you know, they're not going to go ask, you know, Ribatini to be a holy knight. Just to pull a, like, random name out. They're not going to go ask Crabhead and Gyro to go be a holy knight. But, like, I could see them going up to someone like Vivi and being like, all right, you're going to be a holy knight. Rebecca, you're going to be a holy knight. You know, like, something like that. Like, it has to be somebody that's in the actual lineage of something, in my opinion. Brooke could have known Zebek, though. Or at least in the same way that he knew of Roger as a rookie, he may have known of Zebek as a rookie. EJ said she looks more like Yorkie than Brooke. That's true. Locus said, I think she's the princess from Brooke's old country. Then we're on the same page, because that's what I just went off on. So Locus and I, we're on the same page here. Neon Roger said Brooke was captain of the Envoy, so he could have been guarding a royal family. That's what I'm saying. Basically, he would be like an Igarum, a Chaka, a Pell, but probably more so like an Igarum, actually. You know, like captain of the royal guard, like high up, left, you know, right hand of the king type thing. Kari Coms said King Harold was possessed by Emu and Loki was forced to take him out. I mean, if it was something like what we're seeing here in this chapter, that could be cool. Talal said no reaction to Emu being an Elbaf? Damn. I mean, is that what we're interpreting this last page as? I know the line is allow Mu to show you the dominance of God, but I don't really see that as like Emu is actually here. I think that this, you know, Emu is still physically in the Holy Land. But Emu could be puppeteering Gunkko right now. But I'm not going to go as far as saying Emu is in Elbaf. Cone Killer Confusor, member for 30 months, said Gunkko being Yorkie's kid theory back on the menu. Was that a theory before this chapter? Because that's crazy if someone was bringing that up. Saeed said he's literally a deadbeat. That's crazy. Maxo Super said Brooke wanted a giant child too. Baboon. Seal Vlad Ivanovici, I would like to use this chapter to raise the stocks for Emu inhabits Lily's body theory. I mean, what if Emu doesn't actually have a corporeal form anymore? What if they are just the shadow jumping from body to body? If that's the case, right? We've only ever seen them as a shadow, so do they not have a physical form? That could be interesting. Lydia Raven, super, appreciate the 10, said, we're not coming back to Elbaf next week. I think it's a Dex of the World situation. I if I was going to start doing my predictions, I would have said the same. I mean, by talking about this thing with the Holy Land, we have to cut to it. Lydia said, I think it's a Dex of the World situation once more before we actually get the emu reveal. Also, Biblio will shrink the books and take them away before they burn. Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. To have a character that can do that, the books, or at least some of the books, will be saved. Volkazard said, if she's dead, that makes sense. Emu could be twisted and revive the dead to inhabit them. I mean, if she's dead, then you know what this gives me? This gives me Sindri vibes, right? There was like that moment where it was almost implied that Sindri was like kind of remembering things in a way, which was crazy. Brandon King said, Brooke out here like the parents in Stuart Little. I see all these real kids, but I choose the animal instead. Maxo Supered said, if you like the Yorkie kid idea, consider that she has heterochromia, plus Yorkie's epithet is calico. I mean, you're cooking. If that's the case, like, I mean, that's a pull. It's a good pull. I can't argue with that. That's good.
Someone cooked here.
And I want Calico Yorkie to come back into the story in a big way. But just to be different, I'm kind of liking this idea that she's the daughter of the king of Brooke's home country. But if it ends up being this Yorkie thing, and Yorkie comes back into the story in a big way, like I'm still gonna sit here and get excited. Kari said that my theory was that Brooke's captain is related to Luffy. Yes, yeah. I want Yorkie to be Luffy's other grandfather, because I feel like that'll generate some full circle storytelling. Because Yorkie was the first flashback character we were introduced to when we got to the Grand Line. Crocus told us about Laughtail. And, you know, if the first flashback that we were hearing is about one of Luffy's relatives, like, going into the Grand Line, that's cool to me. And if he ends up being the man marked by flames, something like that, like, if he's the key to getting to Laughtail, and you just go back to that first flashback in chapter, 103, 104, and it ties everything together. Shout out to everybody in here. Like and subscribe if you're feeling the vibe. See, a lot of people in the chat were liking my thoughts on Brooke's kingdom, Gunkko's relation to that. Seal Vladivanovici Super said, "You're cooking with Gunkko and Brooke." Yep. If you're just joining now, because I see a lot of people here in the chat, I think the flashbacks are out of order. My personal theory right now is that Gunkko is not Brooke's daughter, but that Brooke was the Igaram of his home country, which is relevant to what we actually know about Brooke, and that she is the daughter of the king. And then when Brooke went off to follow his dreams and become a pirate, he left the island unprotected, and she became a vessel for Emu. And like Sindri and Thriller Bark, she's having a little flare of memory, and she wants to take out her aggression on Brooke. She blames him for what's happened to her. Emil Diaz, member for 48 months, said a member of his battle convoy that was drafted. Are you trying to say that Calico Yorkie might have also been a member of the battle convoy? I think it has to be like a because remember, if whoever was a part of Brooke's battle convoy, right, or his envoy or anything like that, would be beneath Brooke. So for Brooke to join and basically be the Rayleigh, the Ben Beckman of the Rumbar Pirates or whatever, like, you have to have Calico Yorkie be this magnanimous figure, like Luffy, to where someone like Brooke would say, "I'm going to serve under you instead of the king that I'm protecting." Like, there's something about you that makes me feel like I need to get you where you need to go. So I think we should get a flashback with Brooke that shows like his time as an Igaram type figure, with Gunkko basically being like a Vivi, right? So it's not a father-daughter thing between Brooke and Gunkko in my mind. It's more of like a surrogate sort of thing, like the way that Igaram and Vivi have like an uncle kind of dad like relationship. And at some point meets Yorkie. Yorkie's very interesting to him. He sees everybody's playing all the music and everything like that. And it's like, this is fun. This is what I want to do. So throws up the peace sign to the kingdom, leaves, and then something really tragic and terrible happens to the kingdom. Volkazard said, "I want Gunkko to be Brooke's dead daughter or the princess. After she died, he left and found solace in music. Now she's back as an undead vessel for Emu." I mean, that's crazy, right? If they're both technically dead. If she's dead, then I would buy that Brooke would never talk about her, right? That's a save. Because if he ever thought that she was alive, then his goal should have been from the start, like, I need to find my daughter, right? But if we get into his second flashback and it's like about his daughter dying, then he's had the worst life out of everybody. I mean, he's had the longest one too, but man, if his daughter and then Emu just like is basically Sindri-ing this man's daughter, that is I mean, at that point, then I want Brooke to take down Emu. Like, I'm not even following Luffy in this story anymore. I don't want Luffy doing any of it. I need Brooke to, like, you know, get back against the man who, you know, is like puppeteering his little girl. That's crazy. Growth Stock Super said, is Gunkko the former princess of the kingdom that Brooke once guarded, who he sang songs to? Also, Brooke sort of looks like a knight in the flashback. Yeah, that's what I'm basically saying, and that's what I've been talking about. Alejandro Salas said, how clear is your observation, Hockey Randy? You're cooking a 5-star meal. I mean, I just have to. I got to think about things, and I have to. I gotta. You know, I had to take a little bit of time to process at the beginning, because I'm like, there's no way we're gonna have a retcon of this nature at chapter 1149. But you know, we're finding some solves here. If he always thought that she was dead, then it could be her daughter, his daughter. But for him to never bring her up, I would prefer that she is not his daughter at all. She was the king's daughter. But it's still helpful if Brooke, regardless of whether it's his daughter or not, it's helpful if he thought she was dead the whole time also. Like, if he knew his kingdom got destroyed or, you know, something years ago, like while he was a pirate. You know, I mean, that's a crazy thing to learn too, and something to wear on your shoulders. Like, should I have been there? Could I have stopped it? No, you probably couldn't have, bro, but, you know, it's still on your shoulders. Jody Liz said, editor's note, God's here. Is that right? Because that's not in the official. Emil said, meanwhile, the monster trio is enjoying a barbecue. Brandon said, yes, I think she could be Sindri-esque. Saeed buoyed off of that, saying, especially when Usopp said she was a zombie twice. There may be something that we're not catching with the colorization of these figures, right? Like, if, you know, her power makes her look like a mummy, right? But if she's got super pale skin or blue skin, right? If she looks like she's decaying in some manner or fashion, then, you know, maybe there's something we're not getting because we're not seeing this in color. That this whole time it's actually she is dead or undead. Could Gunko's rescue be why the Straw Hats will attack Holy Land? Asked Vasile. I mean, if Brooke gives them enough reason to do it, I mean, it would be. I think it would be cathartic and emotional if the man who has the soul, the Soul King, right, goes out of his way to free the soul of potentially his dead daughter, potentially his dead surrogate daughter, right? The whether it's Yorkie's daughter or the king's daughter. Clearly, when she was young, alive, not turned into a puppet for Emu, not immortal, whatever. She was important to Brooke. He's noticing the resemblance is uncanny. He's not really, you know, he's trying to put pieces together. She's putting pieces together. There's a lot happening here. Maxo Super said, Gunkko kept alive by the will of one Emu. Brooke kept alive by the will of the world. Devil fruit. You know, I think it's also kept alive by the will of himself. Um, so it's like she could be kept alive by the will of another for nefarious means. But there is, something very cathartic and masterful and emotional and just resonant when you take into consideration that Brooke for 50 years stayed alive on that ship, right? That is will. He chose to live. He chose life. And then eventually found a path forward to, go back after his dreams. Mr. Nine said he was probably more like Chaka since Pell and Igurum are God's knights. Yeah, both of those men should be dead. That's a good one. DK in the chat, member for 28 months, said, "Sure, cool chapter and all, but I'm looking forward to Saturday." Right, Captain? Seriously though, great chapter. Yeah, tune into them on Saturday. Ugh. I will be there in the audience for it all live. Brandon said, playing devil advocate on this Brooke daughter idea. Thoughts on Emu trying to wipe Brooks and Gunko's memories, but like Kuma and Vegapunk's, the memories were not fully erased. I don't see why Emu would go out of his way to try to wipe Brooks' memories. I don't even know if Emu is aware of Brooks' existence. Emu knows Luffy, right? They may know Nico Robin, but I don't know if Emu is so hyper focused on them that they know every single person on their crew. Ty said, "Yo, Cap, are the fires from Blackbeard, Lafitte, or the Revolutionary Army's finally making a move?" Well, I mean, the Revolutionary Army, I don't think is on their way back to the Holy Land, but I could buy that Blackbeard is there trying to do something. It could be a thing where he took Garp to the Holy Land, tried to do the trade to become, a sovereign nation and Hachinosu Kingdom, etc., and then he gets turned down in person, so he goes scorched earth. I don't know what other organization would set the Holy Land ablaze. It would be cool if it was the Revolution Army, but the Revolution Army was just there. So I don't know. But if the entirety of the Blackbeard pirates, right, went there, lit the place on fire, had to go up against Shamrock, and none of those guys die or something like that, that's crazy. But it's also just crazy that all of this is happening off screen. I think we'll see it next week though. Next week is gonna, if we go to the Holy Land and we start seeing some of that, I think we're in for a treat. Vasile Vladimirovici, tiny theory. In Jinbei's cover story, one of the poneglyphs is underwater. There's a chance that their scattering happened before the flood. There's also a chance that that poneglyph was on land at one point, and then the flood is what caused Jinbei to be able to find it underwater. It's also crazy that that poneglyph, I remember that one, like, being in the cover story. It's like, when would Robin ever get to read that one? Like, does it have crucial information? It might. Shout out to Double of Flevin, said lots of zombie references. Ironic that said zombies are not only requested salt, but the finest salt. It's good, yeah, when they had the dinner scene, right? She really wanted to spice all that up. Huh. So Usopp's old bag of tricks from Thriller Bark isn't going to work this time. Growth Stock Superman said, Randy, if you get a chance, check out my theory that Joy Girl recently turned into a video about Uranus being the Emerald City. You won't be disappointed. Uranus is the Emerald City? An ancient weapon is a country, is a city? It's interesting. Oh, yeah. Kakia said that was Big Mom's poneglyph that Jinbei gave to her. Hasn't Robin already read it then? That's right, I forgot about that. That was the point of it. He took the poneglyph and gave it to Big Mom. So we have already read that one. I said, you gotta be kidding me. Damn it, PRB. I thought Carolyn wasn't involved today, Ty. Maxo, member for 48 months, said, in case you missed it, Chopper leaps off the branch after Scopper. I did miss that. So we're probably going to get guard point, Chopper saving Scopper, and then, putting this man back together. I did miss that. I haven't done a reread. I'll go back and check that. But I appreciate you pointing it out, because I missed that. Dizza said Carolyn took over Ty's body like Emu. Emil Superden said, will this be the flashback that explains Brooke's obsession with panties? The mystery finally explained. Yeah, I mean, that's the #1 mystery that I want to know, right? Jin said, is the arrow fruit a paramecia or a logia? In my opinion, it's a paramecia, and the logia quality she has is just regen. Wakiki said Thriller Bark was the template to this arc that Oda had planned all along. Shadow Puppeteer, check. Giant Oni, check. Usopp moment. Brooke focus. The sun. Kuma. It's all so clear now. Yeah. Yeah, definitely getting a lot of Thriller Bark Kakio9 said, Killingham says, great emu. And then Gunko's face is all shadow and her eyes seem to both turn the same color. And obviously the moo indicates emu as well. Well, then, I mean, I would get very worried for the individuals that are in front of emu. Because the last time that individual got mad, somebody died. Shin said Ripley has a higher death flag than Scopper. No moms are safe. This is true. This is Cologne's tragic backstory. So one or both of his parents have to die. So I could see Gunkko as Emu, or Emu as Gunkko, killing Ripley in front of Cologne. And then Scopper will get healed by Chopper and have to deal with the fact that he wasn't there to protect his woman. But he did protect his son. And Ripley will go out knowing that, you know, Scopper did all he could. Mio says, which comes first, Gunko's or Loki's flashback? That's a great question. I mean, I would love to just go into Gunko's flashback next chapter, but it's crazy that there's been set up for those two to happen. I wonder if they could intersect. Like, if Zebek was a character in both of the flashbacks, that would kind of tie things together. Alright, I'm going to take another look at this chapter here. See if there's anything else I spot. Give me a second. We got some good fighting between Scopper and Summers. Slice this man in half. Kind of. Yeah, I did like this moment of Chopper saying, how is he able to slice a guy who's immortal? That's got to be a crucial secret. Even if he can't save Scopper, like, could you imagine, like, Chopper, like, can't save Scopper, but Scopper's able, like, his dying words, like, able to explain to Chopper, like, even if he doesn't completely understand, he's able to explain, like, how they need to fight them. That could be cool. I think Chopper will end up saving him. It's One Piece, but all of this goes to show, like, that we really need that 2-week, 3-week time skip where everybody trains and figures out how to, you know, go up against these people. Burning of the history is crazy. Robin having to watch all of this happen again. But I do think the Owl's going to do something to save the books. Or somebody that we don't know will be, like, filling a Clover and Olvia role inside while it's burning to save what they can. I don't know who that could be, though. Chat, let's start thinking about that. Do we think there's anybody other than the Owl that could be in there undetected that would actually be saving the books right now? I guess we don't know where Lilith is. Cologne pulls a Robin in the O'Hara flashback, outs themselves as the child of someone very notorious. I also just realized that what Scopper did was a callback to what he did to Luffy and Zoro. I forgot about that. And I did not like that moment when it happened with Luffy and Zoro. But I do appreciate a good callback. Even if I didn't like it initially, I do like that it's at least a part of his character, you know? And this future sight panel of Cologne getting killed is like one of the craziest things I think Oda's ever drawn. Okay, now I see the thing where Chopper runs in after Scopper, so that's good. It's good to give Chopper a mission. I like that. Okay, yeah, so looking at this last page again, Imu is sending a telepathic message to the Holy Knights. What is taking so long? At this moment, the Holy Land is a sea of fire. We need greater numbers. Then seems to potentially possess Gunkko. I wonder if it's a situation where everything happening on Elbaf, like, has to happen. So it's like, the Holy Land is a sea of fire. You guys need to... I'm calling you all back, but first I'm going to take over Gunkko's body so that, you know, if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself, right? So I'm going to teleport there. Let's clean this up quickly. Get this done so that you can teleport back here because there's a bigger issue here. But this still needs to happen. And what this is highlighting for me is that the Holy Land's a sea of fire, but Imu is not saying get back here right now. They are transporting there, so it's like what they're is making a statement that everything that is happening on Elbaf is just as maybe more important, arguably more important than protecting the Holy Land. Which is interesting. That's good. Let's see here. Emil said Chopper forgot that he can't fly. Well, he's got guard point. It doesn't matter. Chopper, there's no fall damage for Chopper. Locus supered and said, is Gaban's hockey negating resurrection, magic, hockey, devil fruit, or is it something completely new? It's got to be hockey. It's just got to be like an advanced form of some version of hockey. We already know that, you know, there's already advanced armament with Rio, but it feels like it should be something armament related so that everybody can actually learn it. But it feels like it probably is more Conquerors based. But I'm worried with it being Conqueror's base that it means that like only the top tiers are going to be able to figure it out. Meanwhile, like everybody on the crew is going to have to deal with it. Now, the interesting thing also, right, is that it seems implied in a way that, or at least I get the impression, that a lot of Blackbeard's crew also does not really have a grasp on advanced hockey or things like that. So it could be a thing where even though they have these like crazy powers and everything like that, they may also be dealing with the same problem, that they can't actually kill any of these guys, which may cause Blackbeard to retreat because he needs more information. But I would imagine that someone like Whitebeard would have had the ability to do all of this. So, with that being said, does the Blackbeard Pirates and Luffy's group start training to learn this stuff at the same time? But who would be the one to train Blackbeard? You know, or give him the insight? That I don't know. I was asking, like, who's gonna save the books? Brandon said, Rizo with another scroll of Zunisha water. Lilith was with Frankie and Bonnie. We still haven't seen them lately, though, which is why I think it'd be okay if, like, it was Lilith in there. Because as Vegapunk, they would know how important it is. Leon Rogers said Chopper, Kureha's adopted son, Scopper, Kureha's actual son. See, now, Kureha is a character that, like, with them being so old, I would buy that there are people in this world that are related to her, and also keeping in mind that, like, she knew Gold D. Roger by, you know, their original name and all of that, so... Scopper being Kureha's daughter would be cool, but then it also kind of makes Scopper a little bit of a bad son because he, you know, hasn't visited his mom. I think I do feel like there's more story to tell with Kureha. I want to see young Kureha at some point. Big Stinky said, when Gunkko says once a life is lost, it cannot be returned, Gunko's statement there is directly in conflict with Brooke being a skeleton. And I want more Brooke and Gunkko. I've wanted Brooke and Gunkko content since she was listening to New World, you know? Shinsen Oda's been using no damage villains for a while now. With the King, the Gorosei, now the Holy Knights, does the crew have a chance? No. In my opinion, no. That's why I'm saying, like, I'm glad that Chopper has said, you know, is spoken truth to something that I've been saying. Like, oh wow, like, wait, this guy knows something. We need to know what he knows. I'm like, you don't put this character in the arc in the same way that, like, you even put Rayleigh in the Archipelago without walking away trying to learn something, okay? Luffy learned the basics of hockey from Rayleigh. The basics of hockey need to be taught to the other members of the crew that didn't get that information, and the advanced parts of it have to be taught to everybody else as well. And it's going to be anime logic or whatever, because, you know, Luffy trained his hockey for 2 years, basically, but, you know, it's like, hey guys, we got 2 weeks. Saeed said another connection between Brooke and Gunkko is Brooke's signature attack is 3-pace hum arrow notch slash, and Gunkko has the arrow fruit. She probably finds Brooke's music soothing because it triggers her, you know, memories of listening to Brooke sing when she was younger, but she hasn't actually put it together that, like, oh, this, the Soul King, is Brooke. And if I'm not mistaken, his wanted poster just says Soul King. I don't know if it says Brooke, right? Or does it say Soul King Brooke? I can't remember now. DM Fuerte said maybe Chopper is named for Scopper. See, like, I would agree with you there if it wasn't for Hiralook giving Chopper the name. At which point it's like, is there a connection between Hiralook and Scopper? You know, I don't know. But Hiralook would be around the same age as Scopper and could have participated in God Valley as well in some fashion, which we once talked about. QQQ brings up something that I haven't thought about, you know, that I definitely forgot about, was what do you think of the time dilation theory? Arno's warning was time passing outside way faster, and that's why the revs are already back. See, like, that kind of gets a little crazy for me if we're really dealing with time dilation. You know, not that it's this, but like a minute on Elbaf is an hour somewhere else. That, it kind of breaks the logic of the world for me. I feel like he had to have been discussing or referring to something else. I don't know if that exactly can be it, but if it is the case, I actually prefer if time moves slower on Elbaf. You know, like, so that, you know, I'd want it to work like the hyperbolic time chamber, where they could train for 2 years, but it was only 2 weeks in the real world. You know, like, it would never be that, because that's just ridiculous. But they need to train. Granny King said, this is where the Straw Hats really lose. They have to learn how to save the world when the world's gone dark and info is sparse. Be the ship in the dark Vivi talked about. I love that. I love that. Bring it all back. Brandon King said, I think his wanted poster formerly said Humming Brook. Yep. And now the Soul King. Okay, yeah. I don't think that there's Brook on the new wanted poster, which helps. And his wanted poster, he was known as Humming Brook, but I feel like when we saw his original wanted poster, it just said Brook. Jin said, Oda purposely left out the power trio to reveal how weak the rest of the crew is here without them. Yep. Including Jinbei. This former warlord of the sea is not pulling his weight. Exactly. Jody Liz said, if there's time dilation, Scopper would have aged strangely and Dory and Brokey would have aged differently in Little Garden. Damien said, will the big owl play a role? I mean, I hope they're saving the books. Blackbeard gets trained by Shiki? Oh, okay. I mean, that's a good way to bring Shiki into the story. I like that. It says Soul King Brooke on his current wanted poster. Gotcha. Neon Rogers said, I don't think Scopper's been on Elbaf for long. Shanks said he ran into an unexpected friend while in the bar with Cologne. I think that Scopper has been on Elbaf for the past 20 plus years. He has a 20-year-old son. He's been very present in his son's life. He's been eating mountains. Please reveal who's burning the Holy Land, Sabo, Akainu, or Marco. Akainu? He turned on the world government? Magma flowing everywhere? No. No way. Marco? He doesn't want that smoke. Marco doesn't care enough. He's not an enemy of the gods. That man is just trying to live, like, carefree. I'm amazed he even pulled up to Wano. Brandon said Akainu could be fighting Aokiji in a rematch as Blackbeard destroys the government while they're weak. What with the food shortage and all. Okay. I could see a version of that. Saeed pointing out something that I was curious about as I read and when I was trying to put the timeline together was, he said, also something to note that Scopper had the scar on the right side of his face 20 years ago, but we know he didn't have it 25 years ago after they found Laugh-Tale. Yeah. That was something that, like, I didn't bring it up, but it did give me pause when I was reading, and that's why I stopped trying and started trying to figure out the math, because I noticed the scar on his face, and I was just like, he looked visibly older, but at the same time, like, I did the math for the timeline, and it really should only be like If I'm not mistaken, 2 years after Roger's death, that flashback should be occurring. Or maybe 4 years? Are we 22 years away from Roger's death, or 24 years now because of the time skip? I think 24, right? So then maybe it's... So maybe that flashback is 4 years after Roger's death. Sometime in that 4 years, he got into a scrap with someone that actually cut him. In the meantime, while he was, you know, doing all of that stuff with Roger, did not get it, anything like that. And he also aged like 20 years in those 4 years. Saeed confirming 24 years, so the flashback would be 4 years after. It's got to be Summers. They have a history. That's interesting, but why would Scopper have gotten into a fight with Holy Knights after everything with Laughtail? That feels like a flashback in its own. That feels like context that we need. Because Rayleigh definitely wasn't going out of his way to get into fights. Like, that man, like, Roger turned himself in, and Rayleigh retired. Like, nah, I'm coating ships. I'm hanging out with Shaggy. I'm good. Like, he was not going around looking for fights. You know, and now that I'm thinking about it, I bet it's something like stupid, right? Where he got it in a fight on Elbaf. You know, maybe there was some sort of a challenge, like if, you know, like Ripley has, you know, brothers or whatever. I do think that Ripley could possibly be like Loki and Hajradin's sister. And it's like he gets into a fight with one of his, you know, now brothers-in-law. To like prove that he's worthy of being with Ripley, and he gets that scar. Alex Mirren saying, could the scar be from Loki or Harold? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If we have to give context to the scar, I would prefer that it has relevance to the arc that we're in and the people that we're learning about. Mr. Nine said it'd be funny if the Celestials were just rioting, stupid enough to burn their own place down. There's a possibility for that. Yozgard proves that he's not dead, and he just torches the whole place. Maybe they had Leo and Sai arrested, and they got free, and they started burning everything down. Crazy. Axel, E98G, Randy. So Elbaf is not Usopp's arc? Question mark. Maybe it's Brooke's arc. There's a lot of parallels to Thriller Bark. I mean, maybe, you know, maybe that's what we're dealing with. We've had that situation in the past, you know, like Wano wasn't Zoro's arc. Egghead wasn't Frankie's arc. I've always felt that Elbaf should be Luffy's arc more than anything, because we're dealing with things about the Sun God, but we do need some, like, catharsis for Usopp's dream here, though. But it may end up being a thing where, like, the completion of Usopp's dream happens in the epilogue of the story. We find Laughtail, then Usopp goes and, like, basically becomes a new Scopper, goes to Elbaf, ends up with, I don't know, Ange. Right now, the focus for this arc, since the start, has been on Robin, and then now it's shifting to Brooke. And I still think that we're still highlighting Robin as well, which is good. And it's, you know, a lot of the very early part of the arc focused on the characters that we started with, right? The core 5, core 6, like everybody that was here with during the Alabasta saga. And then now there's been a lot of focus on Robin to a certain degree, Frankie, and then now very much so Brooke. Like Frankie being the one to find the mural, I feel like is a big moment. You know, that's probably underrated. To have Frankie be the one out of all of the Straw Hats to stand there and look at the mural, an iconic moment like that, and giving it to Frankie, that's cool. That's a moment. That's a big moment. It's not a feat. It's not like a feat of skill, a feat of, you know, it's not, he can't read it or whatever, but he was the first person to see it. So Oda has, I would say, neglected most of the crew that joined after Alabasta throughout the entire series. Robin had Enies Lobby and then never really had an arc after that. So now, you know, it feels appropriate to, it's early, but it feels appropriate to say that this could be a, you know, a Robin arc. Brooke had Thriller Bark and then had a great showing in Whole Cake, and then has been, you know, just a side character for most of anything else. So giving him highlights here, good. I'm here for it. Jinbei has never had an arc. Like, I wouldn't even say Whole Cake was his arc, even though he joined, kind of. Well, Fishman Island. Fishman Island is the Jinbei arc. But he's always been a side character, even when, you know, he comes in and out of the other things. Like, we still haven't focused on the fact that we have a warlord on our crew, and made a meaningful meal out of it. So hopefully that happens at some point to justify, you know, Jinbei being there. And it's very easy to say that Jinbei is like my least favorite Straw Hat only because of that. You know, like, he was great in Marineford. He had his moments in Fishman Island, Whole Cake. He was basically, in my opinion, non-existent during Wano. Non-existent during Elbaf. He's not doing anything right now, but sitting there and talking. Like, you have the highest bounty out of the crew. Do something. Do something. The monster trio is somewhere else. Jin said Law had more of an arc than any of the crew so far besides Sanji. That's a fact. That's why I rag on Law all the time. Let's talk about the Law arcs, right? Punk Hazard? That's a Law arc. Dressrosa? That's a Law arc. Zoe had a lot of Law. Onigashima? Law. Like, there's a lot of Law there. So the guy Luke said, was big late today, bummed I missed the read-through, but can't wait to see your reactions on rewatch. Can't stay, but happy Memorial Day to everyone. Hey, you too, buddy. Off topic, Jinbei theory. All the Straw Hats have demonic epithets. Jinbei has Demon Brick Fist. What if he has another? He's related to a wish-making group or race, making him Jinbei? I mean, I like the play on words. Obviously, there's Demon Child. There's the King of Hell. You have Demonio Floor. Monster Chopper. What are the other demonic epithets? I don't think Usopp has a demonic epithet. I don't think Frankie does. There are plenty of characters that have had this, like, embrace the dark moments, but there are other characters on the crew that don't. So I would love expanding on that, because it plays into a video I'm working on anyway. Saeed said, my man's loyal to Kaya. Yeah, you're right. He's going back to Kaya. Usopp said he was the great king of hell in Arlong Park. Really? And is it the same, like, wording that Zoro later uses? I like that. Neil Rogers said, I still think Summer's scars are from Scopper and Scopper's scars from Summer's. Possible the world government tried to hunt Rogers' crew right after they disbanded and Scopper got cornered. Maybe. Axel Knee98G said, Randy, do you like Tekking's theory that the Heaven Layer is a hyperbolic time chamber so the crew would learn hockey before the war? Well, I mean, then Tekking and I are on the same page. I haven't seen his theory. I haven't been watching anybody else's videos, to be honest. I've just been so busy. So I don't know what anybody is talking about other than Dak, because I just had a theory for theory with Dak. So I know where his thoughts lie. But I was just mentioning earlier in this stream that we need a hyperbolic time chamber. Because we were talking about time dilation. I was like, and I've been talking about the crew needs to learn hockey for years, but, you know, I feel like I bring it up every stream. So the Heaven Layer and, like, the Asgard or the Valhalla of whatever the tree of Elbaf would be, if there is a true time dilation and because it's like in space technically or something like that, maybe it could work that way. So I like that. Yeah, it still feels like Zoro was biting, cramping on Usopp's style here. Sounds like some, Captain Usopp type. Zoro saying he's the king of hell, but the king of hell's been on the crew the whole time. You gonna have two kings duke it out. You gonna have the Usopp versus Zoro. Can we get that? Are we done with Ange being a traitor? Technically, but I'm still so mad that Oda really had the kids draw their like greatest fears at this simultaneously as someone who could manipulate that is on the island. I don't know. I can't sanction that type of buffoonery. It's too convenient. It's too convenient. How long would I want the quote time skip to be? 2 weeks to 2 months, not years. Like something quick. Couple of months, 3 months maximum. Shin said, I want Sanji to fight Killing Am so bad. Sanji's worst nightmares be true, please. You know what? I don't need that. Because you know what? The discourse around that is going to be so toxic. And it's going to make a lot of people not like Sanji. Because my worst fear is that Oda does do something like that. And then it's just hell memories. And now we've got a bunch of like... You just see that Sanji's worst fear is a bunch of individuals from Kamabaka, and then it just paints Sanji as somebody that's like anti-LGBT. And if I saw something like that, like it would be hard to continue being a Sanji fan. Lydia's right. Oda's not. Because it's like the way that it was already done in the story already isn't great. But you could at least say like, okay, I get the idea of a joke here, but you know, it's not great. It's not good. Like, if you did it again, it's like, okay, what are we really trying to say here? Because this is bad. I'm not going to continue on this topic. Neon Roger said, Randy, what does Emu inside Gunku do if Vivi pulled up right now? Give up everything for Vivi, the one that Emu really wants? Probably. Seems like that, you know, could be priority number one. And this is why I still want Vivi to be a conduit for one of the ancient weapons, right? Because Vivi and Shirahoshi are pretty close in age. And if it's a thing where, you know, Shirahoshi is able to control the Sea Kings, and then Vivi is able to control something else, like something that's been passed through the Nefertari line in a way that matches whatever magical power Shirahoshi has that's not a devil fruit. If Vivi has something similar, then I buy why, you know, the main villain wants her. Exactly. Brandon said Kiku, Yamato, Bon Clay, and Ivankov are all great LGBT reps. Yeah. You know, Roger said, also a good reason for Vivi and Morgans to show up. Wapple knows Kureha too. And he knows what Blackbeard wanted from her on Drum Kingdom when Blackbeard kicked Wapple out. Vine Aries said, Sanji's worst fear is a dull knife. Please let it be that. Please. Alex Mirren said, I think Crocodile will pay Morgans for Vivi to lure in the Straw Hats for the next arc. Interesting. I mean, you know, I want more Crocodile. I want more Vivi. I don't see the play there unless, you know, it's like, oh, well, the Straw Hats will come and I'll take their poneglyphs. Still can't read them. So it's tough. That's tough. I'd rather see something where the Straw Hats are sailing on their way to Laughtail, and then you see, like, the new ship, right, that Buggy just made. And Crocodile, Mihawk, and Buggy are, like, tailing them from behind, and you can't really see them, and then they also get to Laughtail because they've been following the Straw Hats. We do not know Brooke's kingdom's name, Sanji Lover 420, but it has been theorized that it could be God Valley, or it could be, you know, somewhere else. If it is God Valley, that's helpful, right? The fact that all of this is happening, then, you know, it goes to show why Brooke wouldn't necessarily... Oh, no. Because when would Brooke have found out about God Valley getting destroyed? Because it happened 38 years ago, and he was on his ship for 50 years. So I was going to say it would have been nice if he knew ahead of time, and, you know, he wouldn't be worried with having to look for Gunkko or anything like that. If he knew the island was already destroyed. But I do like the idea that I had that Yorkie would have teamed up with Rox to do the God Valley job, because it would have put him back in the West Blue, and he would have wanted to try and find the rest of his crew, not knowing that they were all dead yet. See, like, that kind of times out for me. So it's chapter 72, where Usopp lies to Arlong. Oh, is this when he stands on the house? Yeah, I forgot about that moment. That's a good one. Nice catch, Saeed. Cooper Wise said, I'm fully a part of the buggy agenda because of you, Randy. He needs to be there when Luffy finds the One Piece for the gag, so we laugh. Yeah. Well, I want him to find it first and have the clown not laugh. I want him to accidentally, like, stumble upon whatever it is before everybody else and then walk away and then let Luffy, like, get it afterwards. Because then it would technically be like, for a second there, Buggy did become the Pirate King. Like, he failed upwards. So, like if he just falls through the floor and it's like, there's the One Piece, but then something about him makes him realize that it's not for him. And you just get that character moment where he leaves treasure behind. And then he's just watching from the sidelines as Luffy and the crew, like, walk in there and he achieves his dream. Yeah, the 5-second Pirate King. I mean, that's kind of nice, too. Brandon said, the clown doesn't laugh, but Shanks does. They visit at the same time and make the smile, laughing mask and the sad mask thing from theater represents One Piece's story about stories. Yeah, I like that. Like, if they walk in at the same time, because that's part of the story for them, right? That they were going to do it together. Like, if they walk in there first and they see it, and then, you know, like, Shanks could even speak to it. Like, if he's there with him and be like, you see, it's not for us. It never was. Come on, it's time to go. And then, like, they leave as Luffy walks in. Like, that's... I like that. I don't know. That's my headcanon for the ending of One Piece. I would feel satisfied if that was the end. Did Summer's Thorn Fruit help create Crimson Hell Impel Down level 1? Maybe? Do the thorns look the same? I haven't revisited that to think about it. Would Blackbeard be a player in Elbaf? It has a rare devil fruit, archaeology, power. What if Blackbeard offers to save certain tribes of giants? I've always wanted Blackbeard to play a part in Elbaf. Like, I want everybody to play a part. I mean, like, it's ripe for story. Everything is there that everybody wants. But now that the Holy Land is burning, I don't know what to think until next week. And I do hope that Oda, like, transitions us over there so that we can see it and doesn't drag it on and, like, let us keep wondering, like, well, he said it was burning, like, can we see it? Elbaf ends. Flashback. 3 months earlier. 2 weeks earlier. Something like, you know, whatever. I don't know. I want to see things simultaneously. Sanji Lover. Yeah, I've heard this before too. The Thriller Bar could be God Valley. Moria is old enough to have participated in God Valley. I did a whole video where I went through ages of anybody that could have been there, and a lot of the warlords are old enough to have been of a, like, significant age for it to be like a tragic backstory type thing. Mr. Nine said, hot take, there is no final war. The third world prophecy says nothing about a big conflict. Maybe. But I think fans would be disappointed. Neon Rogers said, next chapter, question mark. I have hope Loki and Hyrden are arguing about Harold's death when Scopper falls onto a fat Loki. We haven't gone back to Loki, Luffy, Sanji, Zoro, Hyrden, all of them, so I do feel like we do need to see that, but I would absolutely love at least a page. Please, at least a page, if not more, of what's happening in the Holy Land, and a tease of like who's there causing it. If they fall near Loki, which is convenient, right? Let's not avoid the idea that it would be completely convenient that he gets knocked off, just lands right where he should. This giant place, and he's right next to the people he needs to talk to. Chopper would then download the Monster Trio as to like what's happening. It would be interesting if... So, buoying off of that, right? Chopper falls down, says, guys, there's, you know, XYZ up there, and they've done ABC, and things are real dangerous, right? Sanji gets ready to, like, fly up immediately. Wait, you know, Loki says, take the cuff off. I already know what's happening, right? Then we get the truth that this is what happened to Harold. Harold's been controlled, you know, like in the flashback. That's why Loki killed him. They all go up there with Loki. Loki starts like wailing on Gunkko. But then Brooke says stop, right? We get a little taste of like what the relationship is there. And then now they have to figure out a way how to do this without killing Gunkko, because Brooke is like Loki knows how to separate Emu from the body because it happened to Harold maybe, but like the only way to do it is to kill the person. So now they have to try and find another way. Maybe Scopper knows the answer, right? So now Chopper's down there putting Scopper back together. Figures out the way that they have to, that they can save Gunkko. But Chopper has no way to fly back up there to let them know. Unless, when they all go up, they bring Chopper and Scopper with them. So Chopper's now healing Scopper in the upper level. Which then makes it, like, silly that Scopper ever fell in the first place. I don't know. I just made up a chapter of One Piece. But I think I'm going to start wrapping things up here, guys. Take one last look at the chat. Anything else that anybody wants to say? Let's go ahead and take a look at that. And then I doubt there's a break, so we'll be back next week for 11:50, which is primed to be a big one, especially if we get this Holy Land stuff. Right. Halfway to 100, we get some big news. Yeah, it was a banger, Brandon. Mr. Nine said, I think that's why Vivi needs to talk no jutsu Imu. I mean, that would be very in Vivi's character, right? She shows up, everybody's excited to see her, but the reunion is cut short because she starts trying to save Brooke's friend. Someone that she doesn't even know, but knows is important to her crew, essentially. And a Vivi and Gunkko thing, especially if we're saying that Brooke and Gunkko is like Igaram and Vivi in the first place, bringing Vivi into that is chef's kiss. But Jody lists at 11:56, also coming for us math piece lovers. I can only hope. Eric Veltri, member for 33 months, said, bye, Captain. Hope you and the family are well. Thank you, Eric. All my best to you as well. Oh, good catch. Volkazard said, oh yeah, any reason why Frankie, Brooke, and Jinbei were not on the cover page, but the rest were? Yeah. I didn't even notice that. We are missing Straw Hats on this page. I love how I was like, this feels like a classic One Piece cover. You know why? Because it's missing Straw Hats. It doesn't have anybody that joined after Robin. It includes 2 additional people. Are we going to end up trading Frankie and Brooke this arc for Lilith and Bonnie? The only way to gain more crew members is to lose some? RIP? No, I'm not going to get into that conversation. So, once again, I want Gunkko to be the daughter of the king that Brooke was the right hand to. Igaram and Vivi type situation, uncle, surrogate father situation, not actually the father. Flashbacks that we're seeing are out of order. I want her to blame Brooke for chasing his dreams and not being there to protect her kingdom. And Imu and came and took control of her or whatever. Alright. That is gonna wrap things up. I'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Appreciate all of you. And have a great rest of the weekend. Great rest of the week.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.